What is up, my fellow Shadow Warriors? This is the Undead Ninja here, and the reason why I'm making this video is because the funniest thing happened. So a few days ago, I made my video talking about Destiny 2 and the state that Bungie is in, and the fact that they haven't said anything. And you won't believe what ended up happening. So before getting into this video, and the topic of today, I just want to say thank you for clicking on my video, and don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. It'd be greatly appreciated. If not, you do what you do. You're an adult. Anyways, so what ended up happening was Bungie decided to finally update us on the current situation. And I stumbled upon the post by accident, coming across it on Facebook, which read this. Okay, so not only did I get that on Facebook, I was like, oh, that might not be real. So I checked X, and sure enough, but just to triple check, I decided to go to Bungie.net, and so be it. Right here, it says the same exact thing. So at this point, I'm inclined to believe that it is a factual post, and this is what it reads. Our next major update, Destiny 2 Shadow and Order, is undergoing large revisions and will be delayed. This update is being changed and expanded to include sizable quality of life updates, and as a result, will also be renamed. This update will now launch on June 9th, 2026. We will provide exact details closer to release, covering the previous announced weapon tier upgrading, but also additions like expanding tiered gear to all raid and dungeon activities, Pantheon 2.0, tier 5 stats for exotic armors, and more. It then goes on to say, through June, we will continue to have routine bug fixes and stability improvements, continued portal modifiers, Guardian games, March, and the return of a more frequent Iron Banner cadence, April. In terms of communications, we will be focusing on providing you with updates about our live game content, community activations, and general upkeep through the TWID and our Destiny social channels. Thank you for your continued patience and support. We will have more information on our next major update and future plans for Destiny 2 closer to launch. Alright, so now let's address a few things coming out of this post. First thing is I am so glad to see that Iron Banner's coming back. That was one of my main gripes in the video that I made previously. Second thing, Guardian games, very excited for. Okay, I still don't have the DLCs for Renegade and Edge of Fate, so I mean, honestly, it gives me more time to get those and complete them. So it is what it is. June's a good time to get to that position. Okay, but now let's address the elephant in the room. So people right now are losing their mind over this post. Okay, they're gone down two routes. Okay, the first route being, this is the end of Destiny. We're not going to see anything ever again. They're going into maintenance mode or something along those lines and saying that this is downtime. It's not looking great for Destiny 2. And just count your pearls and say goodbye. The second amount of people are the ones who are saying now they're going to get ready for Destiny 3. This is it. Okay, we're so excited. Blah, blah, blah. All that fun stuff. Of course, the first option is the one that I am going to disagree with the most. And the reason why is because I don't think this is the end for Destiny. Bungie has made 3 game franchises in the current era. Okay, which I'm meaning like from 2000 to now. And, you know, the first one being Halo. Okay, They were done with Halo, and then they went to Destiny, and now they're doing Marathon. Okay, so here's the thing. Destiny 2 right now is their main source of income. Okay, as soon as Marathon drops, there's not gonna be that much money coming in. Okay, I don't know much about Marathon, so I don't know if it's free to play or not, and if they're relying majority of their stuff off microtransactions. They have no claim to Halo, so Destiny is their biggest franchise right now with the most profitable margin. Also, I will admit that the player count is down in Destiny. However, the player count on Steam itself is still financially high. I mean, look at the chart here, okay? Last 37 minutes, 8,929. Like, it doesn't seem exactly like a dying game to me, and that's just on Steam. So, which means that there could be way more on other platforms and other consoles. And now let's talk about it with the second side of things. That Destiny 3 might be in the work, but we just don't know about it. This one seems more plausible to me. I say this because, like I said before, I don't think that Bungie would pull the plug on their main source of income. I do know that there were quite a few layoffs and stuff, and that's probably why they're looking at all these other things. Also, it even states that they're trying to revise the game itself or the DLCs that are coming. Also, where in the post does this say that this is the final update? I don't read that anywhere. Do I read that a new update's coming and DLC, a more consistent Iron Banner, more, updates in the sense of maintenance? Like, all these things are coming to the game, and for some reason, people are assuming that that's it. Okay, and like I said, if that's the case, and they're putting everything into this game for, maintenance mode and all that stuff, and then gonna treat it like the Age of Triumphs like they did with Destiny 1, then that would make sense for there to be a third game coming out. But if not, why wouldn't they just continue on the same server? Right? Like, if I know that was like one of my biggest complaints is why didn't they just make Destiny 3 after certain DLCs? But I also described that it makes sense why they didn't, just so it's easier to maintain and it's on the same server. However, if it means that they don't cut any more content, I probably would like it in a new game. I also like how people are instantly like, well, Bungie's giving us what we want with, the tier 5 stats for exotic armors and like just all that stuff that they mentioned. And instantly everyone's like, well, that's the end of the game. Good luck. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's already freaking out about it being, the last thing that's happening. But that just doesn't make any sense. And like I said before, it's mentioned that by Bungie themselves that, we're going to know more about the future plans for Destiny 2 itself. So that must mean that there's more content coming. It's not just going to be one done, goodbye, sayonara. Either we're going to see a bunch of stuff leading up to the release of Destiny 3, or we're going to have a few more DLCs before they decide to either A, close the game, or B, move on. And heck, they could even start a new Destiny game, okay? And what I'm meaning by a new Destiny game is I'm meaning one that's not a sequel to what we have now. But whichever works, I don't see it being done after this year, after June 6th. However, if you do want to say that this is proof and evidence before they did what they did with Destiny 1 into Destiny 2, well, that would make more sense for there to be a third one. And the reason why I say that is because if we're going to go into Age of Triumph mode, then we're going to get a beta for Destiny 3 that they're going to pull out of their butts. But again, they're also going to be focusing on someone to manage Marathon. And, Marathon itself is a game, like I said, I don't know too much about, but I know that some people are excited and a lot of people are not because it's an extraction shooters. And right now, that's like the main craze. And it's been for a little bit ever since, you had Escape from Tarkov and DMZ from Modern Warfare and all that stuff. But if that's the case, again, I don't see the profit margin being as big and vast as the video game of Destiny. Also, the lore of Destiny. I'm not saying Marathon doesn't have good lore. I only know a little bit of it. I know that Destiny's lore puts the game and series into a whole new perspective, because they could just make a whole game that's like a prequel to what we had. So something that came up in this, post that I've noticed too is that it mentions that this is going to be renamed, okay? I don't know why it's going to be renamed, but apparently whatever they had, they didn't like. So they're changing it up for sure. And to top it off, it's large revisions is what it says in the first paragraph, which means it's going to be completely different than what they originally thought and planned. In which I kind of mentioned in my previous video, talking about how I think something is coming that's big, and they just didn't know what they were going to do and how that was going to come out. So I'm assuming that they had plans, they were starting their plans, and then they realized, you know what, something else could look better, and that's what they're going with. At least that's my assumption, of course. I could be wrong. I don't work at Bungie. While making this video, I was also reminded something. The final shape was also supposed to come out in February 2024 and didn't. And then was also delayed to June 2024 amidst layoffs that happened then. And layoffs are the reason why Marathon was also delayed. So it seems like this has happened before. Even though I disagree with the first thing that we talked about earlier, I do understand the worry. I do understand that people are scared that the game may not continue. And I get it. I do think, though, that the franchise is too big for it to not have either a continuation or a lot more DLCs, equivalent to how Modern Warfare was a DLC that was turned into a game, except it stays as a game. But whatever happens, happens. And I just hope that if they decide to not go with the same storyline that we have now, we get something different. Or we just have content. Well, other than that, I just want to say thank you for tuning into my video and tuning into my rant. Remember to stay in the shadows, and you guys take care. Have a great night. Undead Ninja, out of here.
1 is the loneliest number that you'll ever do. 2 can be as bad as 1. It's the loneliest number since the number 1. 1 is the loneliest number that you'll